yeah.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Winners and Losers radio program, also known as Paris on the Potomac, in honor of, Shepherdstown's, the jewel of the Eastern Panhandle.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know whether it really is or not, but so we used to call it. Uh, anyway, I don't know where my good friend Karen is this morning, but because I didn't call her last night. But James Boyd is here with us this morning, a
Good
veteran of
morning.
our programs. And I just wanted to take the opportunity today to sort of review, what's happening. And of course, there's just it's been an unbelievable 2 weeks. Really, for those of us who were prepared, the Trump administration. I mean, the
Yeah,
first week was filled with parties of billionaires
correct.
coming to pay homage
Mm-hmm.
to Donald Trump,
Hmm.
and apparently, for example, one of the deals I was always wondering, well, I wonder what the deal was. He was offering them obviously something that they all wanted. Um, him, Bezos, Bill Gates, even Gates,
Hmm.
who doesn't like him, okay,
Hmm.
went and said, "Oh, he has a great vision," you know.
Hmm.
So he obviously offered each one of them
Hmm.
a chance to,
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
get even richer. But
Hmm.
then at the same time, he starts this racist campaign.
Yes.
Uh, I mean, just straight out, that against rounding up immigrants, shackling them in chains, putting them on military aircraft, sending them places.
Hmm.
And
He's serving it. That's
so
the
billionaires,
recipe.
billionaires and racism were the main message of the first week. And now we're going to get to the second week, and he doubles down. Now he's going to blame everything on diversity. He sends out, you know, threatens to fire the entire federal workforce
Hmm.
except for the military,
Mm.
and because he wants to clean house, and wants to, and he's serious about it too.
Urgent.
Um, and so now, and so immediately, a lot of resistance and all kinds of things happen, right? Like, for example, the fear that goes through some of the federal agencies, the leaders tell them, hey, watch out and duck people, okay?
Hmm.
Get rid of those pronouns off your email.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise you're going to, oh, you must be a diversity
The
person.
target. Yeah.
You're
You'll
fired.
be target.
You're
Yeah.
fired. You're just fired,
Hmm. Hmm.
and
Check
and
that
so there,
box. Yeah. Hmm.
so he does that, but then, not part of his plan. The Chinese basically send a torpedo below the waterline into the three biggest tech companies in America. Okay, with a version of the AI chatbot that doesn't
Hmm.
require gigantic energy
Hmm.
and operates on cheap chips. and
We get
and not only
knockoffs.
and not only that, they gave the code away.
Gave it away.
It's free, open source, so anybody can build it. Well, have you seen the valuations? The cap of
No, I have not, but
the
I'm afraid I
Magnificent Seven. You're talking about in a single day, the five different companies at the very top of the S&P 500 lost $750 billion.
that is amazing. Those numbers are astounding.
Now they may come back on it, but the point being is that you want to talk about an economic nuclear device. Uh,
Hmm.
that was one, and then
Hmm. Go
after
ahead,
that,
Bob. Hmm.
after that comes this tragic crash above Reagan National Airport between a military helicopter and a plane
Yeah,
coming from Kansas, and uh, and then
yeah.
here's and then all of a sudden it goes from tragedy to, I mean, horror. because the president gets on TV and blames the crash on hiring too many black people or brown people or whatever, okay, or women, you
Hmm.
know, rather than merit,
Well,
you know.
yeah, he's a,
Yeah, he
yeah,
says
he
this
has
right,
all the intelligence. He has all the
and
intelligence
and they
that he can. Yeah, he knows what an
and the,
unintelligent person is. He recognizes an unintelligent person.
yeah,
It
yeah,
takes
right.
one to know. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Well, and this is before even the bodies have been taken out of the river.
Intellects.
Well,
Man, you
so
tell me.
then right after that, the NTSB people get on thing, and of course they let it be known. Oh, it's on the newspapers this morning. It's terrible. So it turns out apparently that, and you can see why they don't want this to get out until they figured it all out. Okay, but apparently
Hmm. Hmm.
a supervisor, apparently they're the covering the military versus the non-military traffic at Reagan is divided between two different controllers. Okay,
Hmm.
and apparently a supervisor let one of them go home. We don't know why, but leave work.
Hmm.
Maybe he was ill. Who
And
knows? Whatever.
somebody changed the flight plan of one of those planes too.
And that could have happened. But the point being is that the
I
job
mean,
was now
the landing.
the landing was now being covered by one person doing double duty rather than two people. And the supervisor, so already that supervisor and those two workers, their lives are ruined. Okay, I mean it won't even matter because you know it's one of those things. You know how things like this happen, and it's just those the aircraft controllers have to work. They have to be tight teams. You can't have a whole bunch of bullshit going on in teams like that. Okay, you can't.
Right. Right.
And and they all help. They all usually reach out and help each other. They're usually not. It's not. I don't think the culture is very often that these guys they have to work together to make it happen. And I mean, the 65 people that lost their lives plus these three other guys. I mean, their careers are over. They'll never be able to do it again. Not after that. You
Mm-hmm.
know. I mean, if you've been in those situations, you just know that the supervisor
Right.
they'll have to fire the supervisor for letting
Yeah.
the guy go. And the guy that went home probably. I mean, he's got to feel terrible. The guy that was there, can you imagine his situation if he got overwhelmed or too much congestion or whatever happened, right? I mean, it's just
Boy,
it's a heavy load.
the history books really, really. I mean, it's just
And then for and for
it's,
and for Trump to do that disgraceful, ugly. I mean, talk about
well,
somebody they ought to send to Guantanamo.
well, I mean, in the world of, if I can use an analogy, boxing, telegraphing. So his behavior, man, is predictable, and I think the predictions are just being ignored to some extent. They're being brushed aside. And, there's a word that I used way back, the ignomorons.
Yeah, right. I know, right.
No, homo, homo ignorans. And
Homo ignoramus. Yeah,
homo ignoramus,
yeah, right.
yeah, and and there's a definition for that. That if that's your condition, then it shouldn't be offensive for someone to name you. I mean, your behavior points towards something like saying that one person is an intellect and another person is not, then you have a barometer. You have something to go by. And then he has no evidence that what he's saying is actually truth.
Oh,
That
yes, he does. It's just common sense. He
yeah,
says it's just common sense.
it's only his though. Oh, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah,
common sense.
right. Yeah, yeah, right.
It's only it's only
Common
his.
sense. A billionaire white man understands common sense. A man who did sold real estate all of his life. Jesus Christ.
Uh, and the only thing he talks about are the things that he thinks he's good at. The most dangerous opinion is the high opinion that he has of his own personal opinion.
Right. Everything's
That is
wonderful.
dangerous. That is dangerous. That is, I mean, it's borderline ludicrous. And then we're having skeletons coming out of the closet with flesh on their bones.
Oh, yeah, it's
Speaking out about some of the leadership in this country. Look at what the man was, that his cousin, Caroline Kennedy.
Oh yeah.
Look
Ooh,
at
that
Donald
was
Trump's,
cool.
who was his cousin? There must have been some fighting cousins in the families, man. What the cousins?
Well, they probably were,
Or was that
they
his sister?
they were.
Right.
Well, no, I think his family was back there cleaning Hitler's laundry, or something. I think they were involved in the,
Oh my gosh, man!
you know.
But
And now and these other guys. You say, look at what Elon Musk, the South African with the Nazi salute. That was cool.
mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well,
they're being brazen about it. They really believe. See, they don't look. These guys don't believe in anything about democracy. They think it's all bought and paid for because they can buy and pay for it. And it's just I don't. It would be a terrible mistake for people to think that any of these top billionaires have any interest in sharing the wealth. Okay, some of them might want to do some good with their money, and I think some of them probably do. But that's just the privilege of having that much wealth. Okay, I mean, and you tell them it's like when Piketty was arguing with Bill Gates about, well, maybe your wealth should be taxed. He said, well, I don't mind having my income taxed, but why should you tax my wealth? Yeah, I'm going to make. What? Don't you think I make smarter investments with that money than the U.S. government makes?
Yeah.
Look at what I've done. Can you look? I've changed the whole world with computers.
Why should you tax
Why
my wealth?
why should you tax my wealth? You know. And so Piketty's comeback to him, by the way, was interesting. He says, Bill, you may have a point, but if all your if all your money is being used for good, well, why should we tax any of it? Matter of fact, why don't we not? If you're a billionaire, why would you say you keep it all?
You keep it all.
You keep it all.
Yeah, have a great
But he finally got Bill to laugh. Okay, he says he finally got him to laugh, and he says, "Well, you might have a point." But I don't think that's going to change his mind.
Yeah, look at the stock market. The point system is good. The point system is
here comes Karen.
Oh,
all right, good.
great.
Now I get down to hear what she has to say. This is.
Yeah, I'm glad you got us warmed up, John.
Well, we have to. It's just
hard to follow you, man.
Well, I'm trying to get. I've had a terrible time with my machines here. I got a new machine from HP, and it's broken too. I got to replace it, and I've had just. It's getting old. Has been. It's a pain in the ass. Well, yeah, and I don't have as much energy as I used to have. It's
welcome to the club, pal.
It's just
welcome to the club.
Anyway, well, there's Karen. Oh my gosh, I'm glad she joined this morning. Well, Karen, I invited James to join with us this morning.
I see that. Good morning, James.
Good morning. I'm sorry, Karen.
I needed to see your face this morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Likewise.
Now the world is all better.
Yeah. Well, we were just going through the past 2 weeks of horrors, and whatever, and trying to right ourselves to see whether our boat was sinking, and apparently it's we're taking on a lot of water. So I'm glad
Taking
that
on a lot of water.
glad you joined us. So
Well,
um,
I certainly am happy to be here because
Mhm.
it's a lot, isn't it, fellas?
It
mm.
is. It is a lot. It is a lot. It is a lot. And yeah, and the upside is that we can get together and talk about these things. It's a healing. At least we got something, and we can be the life raft for one another
Uh,
because.
very much agreed. I'm going to share with you
Mhm.
a few things about my past couple of days. So I have a dear friend. Her name is Megan, and John has met her
Yep.
before. And Megan is very special. She is a multiple time cancer survivor. She is my age, well, a year younger, but so that makes her 54-ish. And and I have been her caregiver and was by her what we all thought, including all the doctors at Duke University, what we thought was her deathbed well, actually, it was 5 years ago. The memory just came up on my phone of 5 years ago when she had 8 cancerous mets in her brain because her breast cancer had metastasized. And had the morphine kit in the fridge, the whole thing, getting prepared for the end, and she made it.
Oh my
And
God.
she just came to visit to help me because I had a fall about 6 weeks ago now off of a ladder, and I have learned my lesson. I don't need to hear it from another person. I know not to get up on ladders.
Okay.
So, so she's here helping me with some things because I still can't lift a lot. And the memory came up on my phone of the 5 years ago today. And it was 2 days ago, 5 years ago, that I was by her side and all these things were hooked up to her head. And it was really haunting and joyous at the same time because she had just flown into Reagan that morning. So she was on the push at the airport. We call them pushes. I used to work at the airport. So you have every flight pattern is a push. So you have a morning push, one around noon, one around 4, and then the evening push, which was the demise of that American Airlines. And she flew in American Airlines on the push before that flight. And
Really?
yeah, and into Reagan. And I don't know what it is about her. She's got 9 lives, and so
Yeah.
she she is here and helping me. And we had dinner with some friends last night who are in the midst of what they think is losing a very dear friend of theirs to cancer. And this woman, wonderful woman, is only in her 40s. And so Megan is busy composing a message to them right now to try to give them some hope. So I think it's important in the midst of the heaviness we all feel on a daily basis with what is going on to be so mindful that there are these personal struggles interwoven. And boy, do I wish we had some leadership that understood the personal struggles of Americans, of
Mhm.
the plight of their citizens
Mhm.
before making these blanket policies and procedures that are just so asinine and hurtful to
Mm.
the masses that there's still a lot behind the scenes going on in every person's world in every minute of every day. And
Right.
it's just it's a lot. Like I said, I started out saying it's a lot, and it's pretty heavy, and I'm feeling the heaviness. People around me are feeling the heaviness. I went to pick up I'm a dog walker. I went to pick up one of my dogs, and
Mhm.
this couple, they're in their 80s, and she was saying that she was gonna join a Zoom support group for elderly people that are just feeling so saddened by their country, you know. So
Yeah.
it's everywhere, you know,
It
and
is.
so there you have it. I'll be quiet for a minute because I know that was a lot.
Well,
Mm,
thanks for
thanks, thanks for
that kind of
sharing
story.
that.
By the way, there was one good piece of news that came out yesterday
Hmm.
evening, and that was is that Starbucks agreed to mediation
Oh,
with a one of the organized Starbucks
mhm.
shops, and that I just say that's a good news because
Yeah, mediation is always good.
if you can get them to go to mediation, I mean they're not bound to accept the results of the mediator, but if they don't, it puts them in a worse light. Okay, after the mediator has said, "Well, here's a fair settlement," and then they don't want to settle anyway. Okay, so
Yeah,
so
takes away some of
it's
the
a very
riskiness.
so the fact that the company agreed to the mediator, it's a hopeful sign, you know, because and frankly, if you could organize Starbucks because of the impact on service work, which is now 80% of the work in this country,
Mhm,
by the way,
mhm,
um, you know, you could because it's been historically very difficult to organize. All right,
mhm,
unless you're in some very large place where, and in the large place, people are going to hold on to their jobs for years, not
mhm,
weeks or months. Okay, gigs kind of thing.
mhm.
Um, and so this would be it would be a big deal if you could have a breakthrough. Of course, Trump fired the head of the labor board
Mhm.
yesterday,
Right.
and
Mhm.
so that doesn't the odds of this thing ending up with a contract actually are probably pretty small. You know,
Mhm.
I don't know what it's going
Glad
to
to
take
hear
to.
that. Yeah. Mhm.
Well, my friends, this thing is falling apart because he started out the first week with a big roar of billionaires and racism, and tried to continue it the second week. But as I said before, in the second week, the first thing that happens is the Chinese take $750 billion out of the tech industry in a single blow.
Mhm.
Okay. Uh, that's a lot of money, pal. And and the second thing that happened is that Trump's performance yesterday, blaming black and brown people and women for the airplane crash in the middle of the press conference, which you know, if there was anybody that had any remaining doubts about what this guy is doing and what he plans to do, uh, I think you should shed them quickly.
Well, I'll tell you that
He's not joking.
when he did that, I used to work on the ramp at
Mhm.
BWI Airport,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I brought planes in. You know, I was they called us ramp rats.
Mhm.
It
Yeah,
was a very important job.
right.
We de-iced planes, we brought planes in, we had to pay attention to everything that was happening around us. Some of our commuter planes were prop planes, still had propellers, and
Mhm.
that's dangerous in and of itself because those smaller planes, you've got passengers going out on the tarmac to get on, you know, there were so many, you
Oh
had to be
my
on point all the
goodness.
time. And I would, there was one specific commuter plane that I would bring in every afternoon. And those pilots, it was two white men. They were not black, brown, or anything else. They were white as a baby's bottom.
And they could
Mhm.
be.
And I would bring that plane in,
Uh-huh.
and they were in the cockpit making sexual like
Oh, you know,
gestures and
right,
innuendos.
right, right, right.
And when I heard him say that yesterday, and it just immediately brought back what I went through as a 20 something year old.
PTSD,
And
sexual.
I took my job very seriously. I took the safety of everybody around me very seriously.
Hmm.
And how dare you? How dare you?
You know,
Well,
me and John and I, we talked before, and I was telling him about the moral harm. And because it's not a tangible or touchable and everything, we don't pay any attention to it. So it's one of the things that people suffer. And it's one of the symptoms is post-traumatic stress disorder can be developed. And so in our seniors, those people who feel let down because of the new direction that more morality has been forced upon us. I mean, either we agree with your morality, or we go through the gas chamber, the way people
Right.
putting it, because and then the youth. And when you are raised to believe that the Marines and the the judge and the priest and the president is a safe place for you to think about moving into in
Right.
your life, in your journey as a youth coming along. And all of a sudden, here you are 17, 18, 19, and everything that you put your trust in, everything that grandma and grandma taught you, everything that the ancestors taught, everything that the books have taught you, all of that gets ripped to shreds.
Yep.
Well, James, I'm glad you brought that up because I'm experiencing that just in one generation. I'm experiencing that with my own daughters. Like I find myself saying to them, I don't know what happened to my world since I had you, 28 years ago.
How do you reconcile that? How do you explain?
Right.
That's harm.
I know. It's wild. And my middle daughter, she's a school teacher, and we had a wonderful conversation yesterday evening. Well, it was wonderful in that she and I have these types of conversations, but the
Mm-hmm.
topic wasn't wonderful. She works in a Southeast Raleigh in a very economically, socially challenged school district with elementary school kids, and I guess these 9-year-olds have
Mm-hmm.
found like a AI kind of I don't you're talking to the wrong person when we get out there, but some kind of thing on Instagram where they can find images and like import their faces and then like
Mm-hmm.
their heads on different bodies and stuff. So these
Mm-hmm.
9-year-old girls in her class are using this app and making all these sexualized images of themselves
Mm-hmm.
and talking about uh, really immoral uh social the opposite of social justice. Like it has to do like they're using it for like my daddy's my Jesus. They're mixing the
Oh, wow.
sexuality and the Christianity and just doing all of this.
I've never seen that one. Huh.
Josie just said, my daughter said it was so disturbing when she started seeing what these girls were doing. And she took every evening this week to contact each of these kids' parents and have conversations with them.
Yeah.
And
Did she learn?
she learned mostly that they're just not paying attention to what their kids are doing. She said she was pleasantly surprised that most of them were really, really thankful
Mm-hmm.
and appalled. Like, I don't want this for my baby
Right,
girl,
right,
they don't want that, but that's
right.
that breakdown of morality. Like, what hope are we giving
Mm-hmm.
our 9-year-olds,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and it's a real challenge for educators, for every sector of society is affected by this moral breakdown.
Yeah.
I wouldn't that part doesn't bother me as much because I mean I had a moral breakdown. I had more than one probably, and the
But I
well,
think I
when
think
I'm
when
a
you have
young
a personal moral breakdown as compared to a societal systemic moral breakdown. That's different. Everybody has moral bumps in the road, okay?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this is when there's this broader hopelessness. We're in the danger zone, in my opinion.
Yes. Well, you're in the danger zone when when you start leaving people behind in
Mhm.
mass. And we did that in the 70s within
Mm-hmm.
the way that deindustrialization and globalization were handled.
Mm.
I don't know whether it was inevitable or not, but the way that it was handled here, the rich got richer, and the people in the middle that were making livable jobs. I mean, factory jobs. What were they?
Mm.
In order to pull down in the 70s $50,000 a year, you had to work quite a bit of overtime. Okay,
Mhm.
in those jobs. So I mean, it wasn't like, but it was okay. If you had land grant universities, so at 50K a year for your family, you could probably get your kid into the state university
Mm.
if they,
Mm.
could get the grades or whatever.
Well, and you
But
had a pension to look forward to. You
you got a
had
pension,
retirement. Yeah.
but
Things
now,
that you could count on,
but
yeah,
everybody's thrown
that's
out of those
going
jobs.
away.
All the capital,
Mm-hmm.
the automation combined with the globalization, all that stuff went away, and those people, they were left behind.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, if you look at the patterns of the Trump vote, where the fascist pitch rings true, okay, is that you've been fucked over, okay, you've been screwed, okay, and that rich liberal over there who wants to make sure that the environment is clean doesn't give a shit about your income,
Right,
not
that's
not
right.
even not even a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and so.
Yeah,
There
I
are
know.
consequences to doing that. I mean, I remember, take a totally different example. I mean, I used
Mm-hmm.
to read the history of China. Well,
Mm-hmm.
right when after Mao had been in power for a while, and
When you
when
were
they had
allowed to read history books.
yeah, well, when they had a
Back
revolution,
in the
right,
day, huh?
and you had it was mainly because the company had been occupied by the Japanese and the Western ones and all this, so this anti-imperial kind of thing. And the communists won because they were the most patriotic of all the remaining factions in the country. Okay, they
Mm-hmm.
hadn't sold out to some foreign power. But the point was that when they got to the point of, well, what are you going to do now that you won? Okay, and
Yeah,
so
that's like a
he
dog that
he he,
chases
he didn't know.
the
They set up this
hubcap.
they set up this commune system right
What are you
around
gonna
all
do
around,
after you kick
and
get
that
the hubcap?
well, it worked okay for farming a little bit, but it did. It's you're not going to industrialize a country with that kind of system.
Yeah.
They
What?
learned that, and how did they learn that? Because they
That
started to industrialize.
this
Wait a minute.
administration is being very
No, wait a minute.
surgical.
Well, hold on.
Go ahead.
Wait a
Yes,
minute.
sir.
This is an important lesson about China. They started to industrialize,
Mm-hmm.
and the people that got into the cities, right, started to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they started to do better. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but the people in the countryside were left behind. And so
Mm-hmm.
you had an explosion in the country, right? That but Tiananmen Square, you may remember it,
I
the whole
remember
thing.
that one. Yeah.
Really, because of all kinds of people started to get pissed off because, okay, some people were making it and other people were getting left behind with nothing. And so, and the only reason they survived is that the guy Deng Xiao, what's his name? Deng Xiaoping came in. He figured out a way that you can't do that. If you're going to keep the
Yeah.
country together, you can't leave big chunks of the people behind because they're going to react and someone's going to pick up on it. Some smart politician, and the people who think that Trump is dumb, I got a problem with that.
Yeah.
He's got an act, and he's learned how, like that horrible TV show yesterday of him doing that shit over DEI and everything like that. Well, tomorrow you
He's not
watch.
going to be successful, John.
Wait a minute. You watch tomorrow. He's going to figure out another narrative to put on the headlines
He's
because
going
this
to be an
guy's skill.
antagonizer for 4 years.
He'll make you forget that press conference. He'll have five more in the next 3 weeks about three other
I
things.
think he's probably going to try to do 8 years. He's going to try to do a second term on his second term.
He's going to
But
try to cancel the election.
let's get back. Yeah, today. What's he
Only
doing
people,
today?
you have to sign a loyalty oath to him before you can vote and that kind of thing. But anyway, Yeah, so
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I think you guys are in a very
I don't know.
good position. No, because when I listen to the shows, when I come on, listen to you, John, and you talk about what your wife does, and I go up in my abstract thinking, I can just imagine. I've never been inside the White House, never been on the grounds at all, but I'm always intrigued by people who are really willing and able to go in there and be there and do their truth, be good at their job. Got to be good at it because you've been hanging around there for so many years.
Right.
And so the truth is being told. So I think that the healing process, man, and a lot of people just don't believe in the holistics of just communications itself. Truthful communication, not a lot of bullshit, a lot of gobbly, a lot of people talking that don't know what the heck, not a lot of I'm gonna call it bitch sessions going on. It's good, solid information, and people are able to fact check what you bring to the table. That's what I
Well,
like.
I just don't know. I just don't understand what the it's I could see how it's starting to come together. I mean, for example, I saw the there's been I mean, it's on the legal front. I mean, definitely, the lawsuits are being filed. I know the federal employees
Mm-hmm.
unions, or some of them are filing lawsuits over the, you know, resign
Mm-hmm.
letters that were sent out. And then there's all these states, 22 states at least, that are also filing suit over the birthright immigration issue and a whole bunch of other stuff. So it's going to get, problem is though, none of it's going to really stop. I guess the judge did stop the killing of all the Medicaid would be finished if he had gotten what he wanted with that executive order on grants, by the way. Um, my own doctor told me, he says, well, if he passed that, we wouldn't be able to process a single claim under Medicaid.
Mhm.
And so you got resistance that is mounting. It's obvious
Mm-hmm.
to me that the main mass targets in the beginning are going to be, one, immigrants, but two, public workers. And that's going to be
Mm-hmm.
true in West Virginia as well. These guys, they
Oh,
think that the
yeah.
government's, that they're telling everybody that the government's the enemy and that there's nothing going on in the government except waste. And so they're going to try to fire or minimize or not pay the benefits or do anything. They're going to be targets both in West Virginia and this whole thing that they're doing with the federal employees right now is,
Mm-hmm.
it's a
I
serious business.
It is serious business. I want to kind of combine what I'm hearing and go back to something that I often go to, and John has heard me say this for a long time, and it's kind of just like this old soul in me or something. I've been seeing for years this coming. I've seen this
Mm-hmm.
happening and unfolding in front of my eyes, and I firmly believe, like, I love hearing what you're saying, James. It's like we do have truths coming out, and I do. I hold on to those seeds of hope and all of that. But that takes people being truth seekers.
Mm-hmm.
And then, John's touching on all of the kind of like heavy governmental points and labor points, and those are all important.
Mm-hmm.
That takes people understanding how government works.
Mm-hmm.
What we have to be so aware of is that that still leaves so many people that, first of all, don't understand how government works and
Right.
feel like they've already been left behind and could never find truth if they tried because they don't even know where to look. And that is a mass populace that we have to find a leader that is the opposite of Donald Trump. that will lead people in the right direction. I've been saying this, John, haven't I, for like 10 years? What
Yeah.
we are lacking is it's almost like we need
Jesus.
yeah, we need a leader to come down and descend on us
I'm sorry.
that, because that's what Trump did.
Mhm.
There was brilliance in his strategy
Yes.
and that MAGA strategy. He descended and just got this populace that just is not understanding how it all works. I'm going to share something that I literally nearly fell out of my chair, and I will not mention names in the story. I was having dinner, and one of the people at the dinner table, this was several nights ago, was someone who is on our Jefferson County Commission,
Mhm.
a recent. And we were talking about children and education, and I guess there was a conversation about the new elementary school going up out on Flowing Springs Road outside of Shepherdstown. And this person that is on the county commission, um, one person said, well, let's just hope there's a Department of Education to be able to run this beautiful new school that we have. And this county commissioner said, what do you mean? And the person said, well, I mean, there's this effort to dismantle, and just, I don't know what's going to happen to public schools. No, that's not what my party's trying to do. I mean, I really just wanted to be on the county commission. I don't really follow politics.
Oh. Hmm.
Of course.
I will tell you, when I was searching for a brain surgeon,
Oh,
I
goodness.
did not go with the person that said, I just kind of like the brain.
I like the right.
Yeah, right.
It don't matter.
And that is the danger in where we are,
I know.
is we've kind of glamorized or popularized these very important positions because people don't understand.
Right.
So until we find somebody that, like John always says, can bring the people left behind on board
Mm-hmm.
and help educate everybody and bring everybody back up
Mm-hmm.
as an active participant, then we're just going to have, it's a popularity contest, and it's who has the loudest social media,
Right.
platform and all of
Exactly.
that.
Exactly.
And that is something I think old-fashioned people like us can't
Mm-hmm.
even imagine that is where we are. Like I'm like, is that really people are making these decisions and they couldn't tell you anything about basic civics,
Nothing.
you
Just
know?
they don't show up at all about
Right.
anything. Just
Well,
ah, that's what I'm dealing with.
it's not
Wow.
if it's not easy to navigate if you're well, for example, the legislative conference that the AFL-CIO has every year. Actually, other organizations do it at the same time. It's going to be on the 26th and 27th of February this year. Or no, 27th, 28th. Like, I got that. Well, it's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever that week is. Anyway, but and that's when a lot of time, various groups representing their interests show up in Charleston and attempt to visit
Mhm.
their delegates. Okay.
Mhm.
But the Republicans have scheduled committee hearings for all of their members on all of those days, and they will not be available.
And that's happening. That's not isolated either. It's all across
See,
the
so
country.
they
That
don't want
kind
to
of
talk to
behavior.
us. They don't want to talk to us at all.
Mhm.
So I volunteered, as the current
Mhm.
president of ARA,
Mhm.
that I would be willing to impersonate any currently absent Republican delegate, and answer questions on their behalf in front of their door, to assemble crowds, we would, we could go forward there and he could correct us later if I made a mistake, but
With the same recommendation. Don. Forward with that. We need-
On that note, I want a front row seat to that,
That's right.
and I have to move on to my clients and get on with my day. James,
know.
it is always a pleasure
Always an honor.
to have you join us.
Me
I
too.
hope to see you soon.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. Okay. What's up? By the way, I got a hold of. I was going to try to get
Cool.
you know, our historian, who's
What's
our
it?
Shepherd's
Jim
historian.
Surkamp.
No, the Congress guy.
Oh,
Birds.
oh,
Come on. Now we're getting too old. I'm getting senile. Anyway, he's written all kinds of books, and he's doing you know, the Bird Center on Legislative thing. Race mock. There you go.
Thank
Carol
you.
just
Okay.
fixed it for us. Okay,
All
race
right.
mock. I was going to try to get him, but he doesn't like to. He says, "I'm not showing up any place before 8 o'clock in the morning."
Let me know. I'll be glad.
Although I see you did an interview that Lynn is doing a monthly podcast now, so she did a thing with him. I didn't think it. Actually, I wanted to have him on to maybe actually argue with him, because I think he's making
Yeah,
he's a good guy, but I think he's
I do
making a
too.
mistake.
Mhm.
You know.
Okay.
Well, we'll see how that goes.
So I can't do that. So he can't do before 8 o'clock. But I was thinking about also contacting some of our religious people, because we have a spiritual crisis now that we have to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yes.
Mhm.
Definitely.
You know, get some thoughts about that. I mean,
Yeah.
like the thing that you're raising, Karen, about you know, there's the politics for the people that are into politics, right? They're following things, and you know,
Right.
that read the political press and all this. But then there's all these other issues, you
All
know,
these
that
other
are
issues, all
swarming,
these
and
other
then
people.
in the midst of these institutional crises, actually, they're taking place. So I think it's important. I think no matter what happens, the churches are going to be one of the places where, if people get in trouble, then there might not be any other places to go.
Right.
And at least depending on the community or what their resources might be. Okay. So, I mean, I notice here in Jefferson County, I mean, the resources are, somehow I just find myself, I got to travel to Maryland, you know, to get stuff more than I used to. And, like, you know, like electronics.
They must have some kind of, John, they must have some kind of vending machine in the White House Oval Office for trouble. You know, you got to be careful. Get rid of one trouble, he comes, he
yeah, it was more trouble coming. Don't remember, but we got to get off the line here. But best don't remember that Mike Diesel has told me, you know, that Kim Jong-un, the president of North Korea, has a weather machine.
Okay.
And this weather machine is capable of
anything,
sending tornadoes everywhere.
I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it.
Okay, take care.
All right, take care.